Christmas season is all about covenant fulfillment. God makes promises to his people and fulfills them in the person of Jesus. You can rely on God. That's the whole point of Christmas, that when he makes a promise, he's unwavering. He doesn't change. 700 years before the birth of Jesus, the prophet Micah wrote in Micah 5, "But you, O Bethlehem, who are too little to be among the clans of Judah, from you shall come forth for me one who is to be ruler in Israel, whose coming forth is from of old, from ancient days." It's amazing to me that this tiny little detail in the Christmas story and the narrative mattered enough to God for him to deliver on his promise. It's the consistent pattern of covenant fulfillment that God chooses the foolish things to confound the wise, the weak things to overthrow the strong. A little town like Bethlehem. It's amazing. The promise of Jesus was fulfilled not in the mighty city of Rome or the religious epicenter of Jerusalem, but in little tiny dusty Bethlehem. 700 years later, in Luke chapter 2, verses 1 to 7, the writer records, "In those days a decree went out from Caesar Augustus that all the world would be registered." This was the first registration when Quirinius was governor of Syria. "And all went to be registered, each to his own town. And Joseph also went up from Galilee, from the town of Nazareth to Judea, to the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house of the lineage of David, to be registered with Mary, his betrothed, who was with child. And while they were there, the time came for her to give birth. And she gave birth to her firstborn son and wrapped him in swaddling clothes and laid him in a manger because there was no room for them in the inn." Covenant fulfillment. God takes care of the details and works all things according to his counsel. Nothing is too small. In God's sovereignty, he holds even the hearts of the rulers in his hands. Imagine Caesar Augustus, the most powerful man in the world, at the will of God, calls a census, and unbeknownst to him, fulfills the promise of Micah 5. This means that there is absolutely no detail in your life that's so small that God doesn't care. It also means that there's nothing so big that he can't handle, that God fulfills his covenant promises in specific, measured, detailed ways. God cares about the details of your life. God's promised redemption is huge, it's cosmic, it's massive, but it's also specific and personal. If he cares enough to choose a lowly place like Bethlehem for the crowning moment in human history, then he cares enough about the lowly state of sinners like you and me. He cares enough to fulfill his promised redemption in our everyday lives, within the context of our families and our relationships, our health and our jobs. Remember, all the promises of God, big and small, find their yes in Jesus, the babe in the manger.